Hi, everybody, and welcome to what I hope will be one of many episodes. We're calling this Realtors from the Trenches. My name is Nat Grillo, and my colleague with the white shirt is Dave Eccles, and my colleague with the brown sweater is Mike Borelli. And the three of us are full-time professional award-winning realtors at Royal LePage Real Estate Professionals. I say that just so that you know that we have a lot of experience and we do enough business that we kind of know what we're talking about. And the three of us, we bounce stories off each other all the time to share insights of what's going on. And it occurred to us that the consumer would probably benefit quite a bit from eavesdropping on some of these conversations because it would be fairly educational. And not everything's cut and dry in real estate. There's lots of gray areas. And the way to flesh out some of these things is to hear the actual stories of what realtors are going through. So that's going to be our format, is just us telling you what we've been going through. So the first story today will be Dave's story. And Dave, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, so my story is, it involves a situation where we are in the conditional period. So we purchased a home and we're doing now a home inspection. And so of course the inspector comes and starts doing everything that he normally would do. And we're towards the end of the inspection and the inspector is going up into the attic. The inspector quickly calls myself and the purchaser over to explain his findings. And it was one that I hadn't come across before. This particular problem involved an attic fire, which stemmed from, it was an older house with a wood-burning stove, or a wood-burning fireplace rather, and something had happened and it got into the attic. And when I stuck my head up in the attic and I saw, the outcome was, it looked quite grim. It was black. Everything was black. Now you can see on either side of the joists, there was what the inspector explained as being sister joists, a remedy for such an issue. So while the inspector explained the remedy and what would have caused such a thing, and the pros of such a remedy and the cons of having this as a possible stigma when selling the house, I went on the phone and called the agent. I needed to know why this wasn't disclosed and what we knew about the situation. And the agent was actually taken back. He had no idea. At least that's what he had expressed to me. So he had a conversation with his seller and called me back and explained that the seller, yes, indeed, there was a fire in the attic caused by the fireplace chimney, and that the insurance company got involved and remedied the problem, and that he didn't think that it needed to be disclosed because it was remedied by the insurance company. So at that moment, we of course feel we don't feel good about the situation and we need more answers. So the client was really discouraged, however, loved the property and still wanted to try to make something come of it. So we needed to know more. We asked for some more information from the sellers, who was the company that fixed it on behalf of the insurance company, and we couldn't get that information. They didn't have any paperwork and so on and so forth, which again raised some more flags. So I said, okay, no problem. I'll go to the city, and of course, if it's the insurance company that fixed the problem, they would have hired a reputable company that, this is a structural issue. They would have needed to pull permits, and we'd have more information. Maybe not all the answers, but more information. So went to the city and requested the permits, and there were no permits to be found. This led us to believe the story was either untrue or parts of the story were missing. And so, you know, it led us down the conversation of, yes, you love the house. There's some uncertainty about what's happened here. Was this roof fixed properly? And, you know, what does that look like in 5, 10, 15 years when you're ready to sell your house? And now we have to disclose, and now this causes us, you know, possibly leaving money on the table. In the end, you know, I look at, when I buy a house with my clients, I look at it, you know, from the perspective of, would I buy this house? Would this, is this enough of a problem to push me away or keep me in? And I, you know, guide my clients, you know, it's their decision, but I do guide my clients in the way that I would for myself. And in the end, we ended up finding another house, which they liked better, which was free from a burnt up roof and so on and so forth. So, yeah.
So that's an interesting story because it brings up lots of issues, like issues of disclosure. So you know, if the owner knows something that would adversely affect the buyer's decision to buy, if there's a defect in the property and that defect would affect the buyer's decision, uh, he has a responsibility to disclose. But at the same time, the gray part of the area is that if if the problem's been remedied, so for example, if you got a leak in the basement and then the seller does extensive work and fix the leak in the basement and it hasn't leaked in a couple of years, well, it's my view, then he doesn't really need to disclose that. He's fixed the problem. So that's where it gets into a bit of a gray area. And it's really good that you followed up with the permits, because I think the three of us share the goal that we want our clients always to go in eyes open. You're always going to have some degree of risk in the house, but it should be your decision, knowing what the risks are, to go forward. So Mike, you've had some similar experiences to that.
Yeah, just to add to Dave's story about an attic, I was doing a home inspection, and more often than not, the attic hatch is usually in a closet in a bedroom, and
Mm.
the current owners had a closet organizer that was screwed into the wall in the closet, so the home inspector couldn't get um, into the attic to have a look at it, which you know, it is an important part of the inspection. And you know, intuition just told me that, you know, that we shouldn't firm up the deal without looking at the attic. So at that point, I spoke to the agent and I asked if the current owner would, you know, remove the closet organizer so the home inspector could go into the attic, and they didn't have any issues with that. So the home inspector went up there, and lo and behold, he found some mold in the attic, which was looked like it was from maybe a previous uh, you know, so obviously I had to disclose that to my clients, um, and you know, from there we looked at what the remedy could have been. It was of minimal cost, so my clients were comfortable with firming up the deal. But again, even to your point, Nat, you know, having an open, you know, really, you know, talk with your client so they know that, you know, there is this issue, and having them make the decision is important, because us as professional realtors have to present the facts, and you know, ultimately they have the choice to make the decision, and whether they want to go ahead with it or not, I think is always very important when you're dealing with
You
it.
know, and this topic is important in today's current market, because I find a lot of times, and it's been like this for several years now, that sometimes you just can't do a building inspection. If there's 10 offers on a property and you put a building inspection clause in the offer, your offer is not going to be very competitive. So there are many instances where people are buying homes, and many of my clients have done it, where they're buying a $1.2 million home with no building inspection. And people who are not in the market, like sometimes their parents or their Uncle Guido or something, will say, hey, are you crazy? Why would you do that? But sometimes you don't have a choice. And it's also interesting that there are some jurisdictions in the world that a property can't change hands unless there's been some kind of engineering report. But we don't have that situation now. And I like to think of it like a car. If you buy a used car, you can buy it uncertified, but you can't drive it. So the government seems to be perfectly willing to protect the consumer when it comes to buying a $10,000 car, but they seem to be much more buyer beware attitude when it comes to buying a house. So, and now I'm saying something a little bit political, so I just want to make sure we're clear that all the opinions expressed in these videos will be our personal opinions as realtors and what we see. I by no means represent the Toronto Real Estate Board or anybody else, but my own personal opinion is that there should be legislation to make building inspections mandatory. And we can work out who pays for them and all of that. But if you're buying a $1.2 million property, you shouldn't be put in the position as a consumer that you can't have a building inspection. But that is the reality right now. Any further thoughts before we wrap up this first talk?
I think we're good.
Okay. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us, and we're going to try and do these once a week. So our next episode, I think, will be on multiple offers. I hope you're going to look forward to that. And from me, Nat Grillo, goodbye. And on behalf of Dave and Mike, I wish you a really great week. Thank you very much.
Good.
Thank you.